What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, showcasing one of the most chaotic, weird decks I've probably ever created, which is a very high bar if you've ever seen my channel. I try to make the weirdest decks possible. I think I may have found the weirdest deck ever. It's Cyberdark with ABC. So, the whole start of me making this deck was this card right here, Shadow's Light. It just came out. Target a dark monster you control, special light with the same type, level and type. It just has to be a light monster. So basically just its light counterpart. If you guys have ever watched this channel, you know the first thing, of course, I tried to do is break it with my rank 4, my Utopia stuff, but it didn't quite work out that way, unfortunately. But there are some light and dark machines. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started here. And one of the things with ABC is that, one of the big plays right now is Ancient Fairy. It's actually incredible the way that it works out in this deck. But you would think with this line there is no access to a tuner to get to Ancient Fairy Dragon. But through hours and hours of research, I have found the answer. So it is Stardust Synchron. It is a machine light tuner level 4, which you may think, okay, that's not good because what you need is a level 7 Synchro, right? That's what Ancient Fairy Dragon is. But Stardust Synchron does search on summon, so that's going to be Stardust Illumination. And it just so happens to be a card, Cyberdark Chimera, which makes you discard a spell card to add Power Bond to your hand. Now, this isn't great because, well, you'll see. Normally, you don't have access to both the Union Hanger and the Cyberdark stuff at the same time. This is just a very specifically good hand. The only problem is this card restricts you to fusion summoning. I think it's only cyber monsters, okay? You can only use cyber monsters for fusion summoning, meaning you can't go into ABC Dragon Buster. But fortunately for me, I had a really, really good opening here, so I can also just go into my engine. This is just a free summon, right? This card right here, Rum, lets you just normal summon for free, so you get another rank 4 body, which is really important, or material for link summoning. It's kind of a weird hybrid deck. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and special summon there. This lets you also get an additional normal summon with a light or dark monster by banishing in the same turn that lets you basically, teleport the other side of it, the other side of your deck from your deck to the field. Jeez, I did not say that right, but it's really cool. So it's double summon plus E-Tele, but essentially. Okay, now all I have to do is get this last piece on the board. So I can go ahead and equip. This can go ahead and special summon itself again. Of course, that's really good. Now I can go into Appaloosa, and now that I can go into ABC Dragon Buster, because C was sent to the graveyard, so it lets me special summon, I can now, it's only for the rest of this turn, this Chimera effect. Also, this card that you discarded lets you banish it to decrease the level of a Stardust monster you control by 1. So you can make it a level 3, meaning you can go into Ancient Fairy Dragon, which is pretty funny. And then, when Chimera gets sent to the graveyard, it Foolish Burials 1, because to get into the first boss monster, you have to have 5 Cyberdark monsters in your graveyard, which is extremely hard to fulfill, but in this case, I was able to do it. I'll show you a couple more creative ways you can get there at the end, but this is the first combo, so this lets you equip a monster from the graveyard, and it is an Omni Negate, so if your opponent activates any kind of card, you can send this to the graveyard to negate the activation. This is an Omni Negate. These are obviously monster negates through Appaloosa. And then ABC Dragon Buster, once Therion is used, you can use the effect to put all these back. Now, normally you want IP Masquerena, but the way that this end board worked out, just couldn't really, make that work. But maybe I could have used Ancient Fairy Dragon as well in this Appaloosa, giving it, one more 800 attacks to negate something. Could just be follow-up too, doesn't really matter, but that is the mainline combo, or I can't even really say mainline because this deck is so chaotic. Sometimes you won't be able to access your Cyberdark engine. It's rare. You have to see the right cards in your hand, and that's how it is for Cyberdark normally. But sometimes you can just do some regular combos. Cyberdarks are still involved. It is part of the engine, just like rank 4 machines or level 4 machines are really, really important, and it's very easily accessible. So I can go ahead and equip here. I don't really know this. When this card is sent to the graveyard, it's supposed to let me draw a card. For some reason, it doesn't do it. It's probably something super obvious that I'm not seeing, but it doesn't really matter. It's not like you need the draw. The Dragon's Ravine is super duper important because it lets you send I always forget the name of that dumb card, but the one that comes back from the graveyard, you just saw it. Okay, so now I can go into my Union stuff, and that's going to be Union Driver, banish, go into the C. So instead of just like grabbing another B, I've run a very small like ABC engine. It's really just the field spell, and then I have 2 copies of Buster, 1 copy of A, and 1 copy of C. So the problem I always find with ABC is that these cards aren't good like by themselves. They do absolutely nothing. So I kind of just have this really short condensed engine. So the cool thing is that B is going to be able to, add that back to my hand, and then I can search for the last one. That way I have a card in my hand to pitch with ABC Dragon Buster. So it worked out pretty well there. So this is essentially the same end board. The Omni Negate is just through Infinity. A much easier path, of course, but if you like playing Cyber Darks, I think this is one of your best options. So yeah, like Infinity came down and then ABC Dragon Buster. I do have IP Masquerena too, which is pretty cool, and it kind of just all works out there. Right, that probably goes in Appaloosa or whatever. All right, here's one more ABC. You can do some really, really cool stuff with this card, Shadow's Light. It's really what I've been messing around with. It summons from deck or extra deck. There's literally probably a million possibilities, and I love cards like this because I love stretching the game's engines as far as they can go. Okay, so I'm probably just going to go into another B Buster, and then I'll switch this or link this off into... Oh, okay. Well, I did open that time, so I can still go into Ancient Fairy Dragon early. But I went into Ancient Pixie Dragon, which is random, and I actually do this wrong, and I'll explain what I do wrong, but this is a level 7 Dragon Synchro monster, so all I have to do is target it, and I can summon out Ancient Fairy Dragon for free. There is a cool application of this, besides the fact that this lets you draw a card when you activate a field spell, so the two work, obviously, in tandem together. I think that's the point. I forget to activate the field spell before, so Ancient Fairy Dragon obviously doesn't have an effect when Synchro Summon. It just has 2 effects. It's a really, really good card. It also gives you another level 4 body on the board. It's like one of the best decks, if not the best deck, to use Ancient Fairy Dragon in. And then this is also a rank 7 that most people probably can't use, or this may be the only deck I've ever seen use this. It's a quick effect, lets you destroy a face-up card on the field. Any face-up card. It can be monsters or obviously like field spells or continuous traps, like things like that. So that's obviously like really good. It's a quick effect as long as you have dragon monsters as material, and of course this does, right? These are both dragons, so that's pretty cool. IP Masquerena is just like a staple in ABCs basically. So I just thought that was like a pretty neat thing that you could do to kind of cheat that out. But like I said, I should have drawn a card. I should have activated Therion Disc Coliseum before I overlay. There's like literally no point doing that. And like I said, when you activate a field spell, that Pixie Dragon lets you draw a card. Okay, so Therion King Regulus can come down, and I get an extra normal summon here. This is also a free special summon. This is still an Omni Negate. I can go into an Appaloosa early. It was used with IP Masquerena. And then there we go. So just I have that rank 7 here. This is a banish, of course, and I get 3 monsters back for more Link summoning, and then Appaloosa. So a lot of interruption there. It's pretty cool end board. And I do have one more with actual Cyberdark stuff. Like I said, you normally have to see like 2 Cyberdarks in your hand, or at least Claw. If you open Claw, you have a lot higher chance of being able to get to the Omni Negate. And I will show that here. This has nothing to do... I made like special summon ABC pieces in this combo, but I am going to go ahead and use Chimera's Effect. So I can't go into ABC Dragon Buster. It'll be there for a follow-up. The weak board, the end board is much weaker, but I do think that there should be some combos that are only centered towards Cyberdarks. But this is just kind of neat, right? Cyberdarks do kind of fit in here. It is an engine. It's not just kind of stuck in here. It plays a like pivotal part in how this deck functions. And I can send an extra piece there. So all I have to do now, I have 4 in the graveyard. Getting 4 is much easier. If the target for the Fusion Summon didn't require 5 Cyberdark monsters, it'd be really close. If this card was replaced by a new one that says you can also send another to the graveyard when it's sent to the graveyard, because right now like Keel does absolutely nothing. It's just a name that you have to send to the graveyard. If this just said you can do another one, the deck would be like significantly better, but it doesn't, so you kind of have to get a little more creative when it comes to finding that 5th piece. But they are machines, so there is a card that's going to help us facilitate that. My extra special summon works so good with Union Hanger. Really, really good. And then, the 2 can come down. I can go into the Link monster, lets me special summon a machine, Platinum Gadget. I do also run a couple of tech cards like Gold Gadget that is searchable. But it basically just lets me bring another one out. So rank 4 stuff, or, you know, just link material, those kinds of things. Sea Crush was sent to the graveyard. And here we go. This just requires 2 machine monsters, and it lets you search a level 4 or lower machine, meaning you can also search Cyberdark Horn, which means I think this is legitimately the best deck to actually use Cyberdarks in, because it facilitates the play so much more. And also the end boards are just significantly better too. But I was able to look and search out this last piece, which is really cool. And then now I can finally use Power Bond to go into the Omni Negate, right? And the coolest thing is, and this is a great way to end it, I get to attach B Buster Drake because I didn't go into ABC Dragon Buster. So this card is now unaffected by spell cards. So like the Dark Ruler and Immortals and stuff don't really do anything, you know, against this Lightning Storm. You can choose either ones, like trap cards and spell cards or monster effects, as all the pieces run the graveyard, but I think spell is probably your best bet. Because like monsters aren't bouncing over this, and it does have the Omni Negate too. But yeah, that is Cyberdarks. It's kind of insane, really fun. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Other than that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.